Hi everyone, it's Tea with Tina, and today we're going to talk about the hidden truth that nobody wants to tell you about or wants you maybe to hear. So, do you ever wake up feeling empty rather than free? Maybe you thought that retirement would be the golden years, but instead something feels missing. And as you know, I can relate to this because every morning that I wake up, Norm is missing because I'm now walking the path as a solo person. So I fully understand what that statement means. But what if I told you that almost 1 in 3 retirees experiences depressive symptoms? And that many people never even want to talk about them to anybody else. So in this video, we're going deep into the hidden causes, how to know if it's happening to you, and most importantly, what you can do to reclaim joy back. Let's talk about retirement and depression in retirement, because silence only makes it worse. And you know, it's strange, but on my social media recently, it's coming up about a wonderful comedian and actor that I thought was a fabulous guy, Robin Williams. And he passed away maybe 9 or 10 years ago. And he suffered from depression. And you will see pictures come up. And one thing he always said was, please don't prejudge people that maybe you meet in life, because everybody's walking a path and they might have problems that you have no idea. So that's why I thought it was really important to share this video today. So there are potential causes of depression. Let's maybe start by understanding why depression in retirement is more common than we often admit. These aren't excuses, they're actually real shifts in our life that many people don't prepare for. One of the biggest ones is the loss of identity and purpose. This happens to so many people because we've all had a career where we've worked either self-employed or for somebody, and whatever the job you were doing is, that defined who you were. So whenever you bumped into somebody, what do? You said, oh, I'm a sales rep, I'm this, I'm an electrician, whatever it was you did. You actually had a title that you could introduce yourself. Now, I guess you're going to say, I'm retired, but that means that maybe you think that you're losing something. So that is one of the biggest ones. Another one is financial pressure and uncertainty. This is one thing that Norm and I talked about many times, and we always used to say to each other, would we have enough money left for our retirement? That was, we used to joke with each other saying we both lived till hopefully we were going to be 80 or 90. Unfortunately, Norm passed away at 70. But a lot of the decisions that we made meant that the financial pressure will be easier on me. But a lot of people, all they worry about is, do we have enough money? Are we going to be able to cope? And that is a huge one that could force you to feel depressed. Wow, you know what? Having a cup of tea or coffee makes everything better. So another really big one is loss of routine and structure. And remember, that's what you get when you work. It gives you the daily rhythm, it gives you structure, but you've also got deadlines and things like that, but it also gives you social contact with other people. Sometimes retirement often lacks that. It doesn't have the framework that maybe you had when you were working. And sometimes people can become adrift in a very unstructured sort of part of their life. So it's up to you to maybe find a way to change it. Another very big one, of course, is bereavement and the loss of loved ones. As you know, I've just recently lost Norm. We were together for 50 years. So this is proving to be a very difficult time for not only me, but I'm trying to help everybody else out there. And I will tell you, I have good days and I have bad days. But I'm coping through it because Norm would want me to stay strong. But as we age, the chance of losing a spouse or close friends or siblings grows more. That grief can compound and bring loneliness along with it. Another thing that's very important is you might feel that you have a shrinking social circle with less connection with people, without those co-workers that we're used to. But I'd like to share a story. I was going swimming the other night. Actually, I went quite late. It was about 6 o'clock in the evening. I thought nobody would be there. But lo and behold, there were lots of other ladies swimming, which was great. I made some new friends. But when I was in the elevator, there was two ladies that were there, and I just happened to start chatting, and I said, you know, hey, I'm going swimming. Where are you two going? And they said that they were going for a spaghetti supper at a local town. I think it was run by somebody like the Round Table or one of those sort of local Navy places. But the main thing was, I thought, well, that's great, they were going. But the good thing was, they said to me, do you think, would you like to come next time we go? And I said, sure, that would be wonderful. So you know what? I got myself an invitation and I'm going to get a spaghetti supper next time. And another one that's really big is health decline and chronic illness. This can also cause depression, whether it's physical pain, medical issues, or reduced mobility. This can also drag you down from your mood and your energy, and maybe even your sense of independence. There's also unmet expectations. It's sort of called like the contrast effect. Maybe you imagine that it would all be relaxation, travel, and leisure. But in reality, it's a lot quieter, slower, even maybe disappointing to some people. And that's where this contrast comes in between, was it an expectation and what is the reality? And now it's starting to affect how you think. Each of these factors alone is a challenge. Together, they form the perfect storm for a silent sadness that might hide behind many smiles. But the good news is, I'm going to help you, because let's try and face what those signs might be so that we can talk about them. So, how do you know whether you're feeling depressed or whether you're just having a bad day? So perhaps here's some of the warning signs to watch for. Are you feeling constantly sad and empty? Have you lost interest in a lot of things, whether it's hobbies or meeting people? Have you noticed changes in your sleep pattern? Are you maybe not sleeping as much? And that should be a concern, because we all need to sleep to re-energize our bodies. Are you withdrawing from invitations if friends ask you to go to things? So those are some of the signs. But you know, one thing that I've only just found out, it's a very new terminology to me, and that is, have you heard about doom scrolling? But this kind of came home to me because apparently this is when you keep getting inundated with lots of bad news. And basically, It thinks you want to get bad news, so it keeps serving up on your cell phones or iPads or whatever bad news. But what happens with that is it can send you down a rabbit hole because it's reading your thoughts. And this kind of happened to me on my social and media accounts. Was I noticed that, yes, I'm going through a grieving stage at the moment, but I don't need the social media for every point that I'm looking at to be saying, oh, you should be doing this because you're grieving. Oh, you should be doing this. I even started to feel this is overwhelming. So I started to block them all. Where that cross was in the top corner, I was pressing it, and I was stopping having these bad thoughts coming to me, because the only way to survive what I'm going through and what other people are going through is to think positively and not go down that negative route. You need to set yourselves maybe time to be on social media. You need to not have it go ding every time something comes, because you know what? You don't need to have all those dings. And you don't really need to be watching depressive news just before you go to bed. So I tell you what, don't watch it. Put a happy show on, put a movie on. Do crazy things like I do. I play Waffle and Wordle just before I go to bed. So you know what? It's actually making my brain work on happy things. You need to do that too. And I think a lot of these things are really important, because if they're saying in North America that 3 out of 10 adults are suffering from depression, this is a huge thing. And one of the reasons that I really wanted to do this video is that October the 10th is World Mental Health Day. It's a reminder that mental health matters at every age, not just for young people, not just those that are still working, but for retirees too. It's time to break the stigma, open the conversation, and remind each other that getting help isn't weakness, it's wisdom. We all grew up, especially as baby boomers, that these sort of topics and conversations weren't talked about. This sort of thing was taboo. The same as anything else like finances, depression. Like, these were all things that we didn't talk about. But you know what? We have to change. We have to talk about these topics because it affects so many people. And here are maybe some tips to help manage things, and tips to manage overwhelm during global events and relentless bad news. Constantly hearing about negative events, no matter how big or small, can take a toll on our mental health. Here are some tips to help you cope with global news that might overwhelm and find your way back to balance. How about setting boundaries with the news? Maybe ask yourself, how much news content do you actually want to take in, and how often? Maybe you need to have phone-free times. Times when if you think that you're doing this new doom scrolling, perhaps you need to set times where you put the phone down. And maybe you need to have times that could help you break this habit. You could also use some grounding exercises. Grounding yourself in the here and now ease your stress response. How about talking with others? When you feel overwhelmed, it can help you connect with other people. Perhaps you need to spend some quality time with loved ones, family or friends. Maybe give yourself permission to rest. Taking time to look after yourself doesn't mean you've stopped caring about anything else. It means that you are looking after yourself so that you can keep on caring. And maybe you need to focus on what you can control. Small actions still matter. Taking positive action can help shift feelings out of helplessness and into purposefulness. So, now what can you do? Let's talk about some practical steps that can help push back depression or prevent it entirely. This is where hope lives. How about rebuilding your purpose and identity? Find maybe mini missions. You can volunteer. You can be a mentor. Maybe you need to find some projects that you've always felt passionate about. Get back into doing it. How about bridging roles? Maybe you could do a part-time job, or you could do a consulting role where it eases the transition for you. Maybe you could give yourself a new title if you don't want to just say retired. You could be a community gardener or a storyteller or a mentor. I think another really important thing is, how about trying to find some structure in your day? That's kind of what I've been doing. Set yourself a gentle routine. Go for a morning walk. Set yourself hobby time. As you know, I love going swimming, but one of the best things that sets me up for the day is, if I don't have tea in bed, is my first mug of coffee. I have coffee with breakfast, open the blinds, look out and see what the day is going to bring, and it sets me up for feeling good. And I think you also need to be aware of, you have to have physical movement and mental tasks. Whether mine is swimming, yours could be going for a walk. Do simple things like waffle or wordle. Or another really good one, I don't do it, but you could do it, is how about crossword puzzles? You've got to find the answer to the question. Some of those things, they might seem really simple, but they might just really help keep you going. Another thing that we all need to do is we need to stay social and connected. Whether it's by joining clubs, groups, how about joining a church if you'd like, or even adult learning programs, which, as you knew, I've just done that and I found that really interesting. You can even rekindle some old friendships. Maybe even just reach out to your neighbors, see if they'd like to pop round for a cup of coffee, because if you invite them, I guarantee you they'll invite you back. Also, maybe use technology. You can make phone calls, you can do video chats, and even FaceTime. But also there are things like YouTube communities. How about connecting with people on my channel, because there's lots of us talking about lots of different concerns and problems that are going on, whether you're retired as a couple or whether you are single. There's also things like grief work and emotional healing. Allow yourself time to feel. If you want to write things down, cry or talk, it's okay. It's not a bad thing. And if you find that that's getting a little too much, you can always seek counseling or peer support groups if you think that you need some help. And maybe you can meet other people going through things like you. Another important thing is your physical health and self-care. We all need to exercise regularly, even if it's just 20 minutes a day. And one thing that I really like is being out in the sunshine, whether you're sitting out on a chair for 10 or 15 minutes or going for a walk. Try and get that real feeling of the sunshine on your skin. It makes you feel better, you sleep better, and I think it also helps you to eat better too. Because I seem to be, there's nothing wrong with my appetite at the minute. I think it's all this swimming and all this sunshine, but I'm certainly eating, and I know Norm would want me to eat and look after myself. So these are all things that are so important. Also, I think being mindful and gratitude about just simple things, whether it's meditation, whether you're just taking deep breaths or even reflecting on your life. One thing that I do, and it might help you too, is how about keeping a journal, a gratitude journal? Write down one or two things a day of things that have gone well for you. I do that, and then a week later I look back and I think, man, did I achieve that day? This is great. Just maybe start off with one or two things a day, and I think you'll feel good. But also, if none of these smaller steps are helping, please seek professional help when needed. There are people there, whether it's your doctor or a mental health professional. There is therapy and there is medication if you need to take things, if you're not managing on your own. And there's nothing wrong with that, because taking medication and coping is better than not coping. Just remember, depression is treatable. It's not a life sentence. It's something, if you have it, we need to work through it. And don't forget, celebrate small wins. Each day, if one thing made you feel good, whether it's going for a walk, making a cup of tea, maybe experimenting with a new recipe or trying something new, feel good. Pat yourself on the back and say, hey, you know what? I did it. If it's, in my case, if I swim more lengths than I've done normally, I think to myself, hey, that's great. You managed to do it a little better than I did last time. And I think all this is such great ways of making us all feel better. And here's a bonus point for everybody. We all need to have things to look forward to. Now, in my case, as you know, Thanksgiving is in October in Canada and it's in November in the US. So we are going to be going for brunch for Thanksgiving. And I am so looking forward to that with my family. This is something very exciting that Norm and I were going to do together, and I will be doing it with my family. And I want you to know that it's still okay for you to go and do things. Also, Christmas. We're looking forward to Christmas. I'm going to be spending it with family here, but perhaps you might want to go to a sunny place for a week. There's nothing wrong with going away for Christmas. I myself giving myself 2 trips to possibly be looking forward to. I am looking forward to going to Portugal, hopefully in January or February. And as you know, I've talked about it a little bit, but I'm going to be going on an Alaska cruise. So you know what? Mentally, this gives you something to focus on, something to look forward to in the future. And so I wanted to talk about that and to say thank you to everybody for being here for Tea with Tina. And I want you to know that I read all the comments and I do love everybody participating. And I want you to remember, depression in retirement is real. It's not the end of your story. You're not broken and you're not alone. And you can feel joy again. And I myself are going through that in little things, but the joy is there and it will come back. And this week, with it being for World Mental Health Day, maybe reach out to somebody, a friend, a doctor, a loved one, or just talk about maybe how you are really doing. There's nothing wrong with having an appointment, going and chatting with somebody, because healing begins when we speak out loud. When our hearts are holding in silence, you need to tell somebody. Also, if this video has helped you, please like it, share it, and subscribe, and give me the thumbs up. And in the comments below, Tell me, what's one small thing that brings you peace or purpose this week? I'm sure we'd all like to know, because maybe we can all help each other. Plus, you never know who you might inspire by what you put. So let's all stay strong together.